Welcome to the Deep Dive,
Emerald City Hockey's Seattle Kraken podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Deep Dive, Emerald City Hockey's Seattle Kraken podcast. RJ, the holiday season is upon us. I don't know if you've noticed with all the lights everywhere and the nonstop advertising of things and sales everywhere. It's kind of here.
Yeah, definitely. What always gets me is the holiday music in all the stores. That's where I really know that it's time.
Yeah, that's a good one there. So we thought we'd get in on the action here on the Deep Dive, and we have prepared holiday gift ideas for every member of the Seattle Kraken, and we will go through all of those later. I also want to pick your brain, RJ, about some gifts for the team as a whole, because I think the group together can all kind of get something. I think that's fine. But first, RJ, we have an important announcement to make. And those of you watching the video version of this podcast probably already see something a little different about our graphic overlay there. RJ, why don't you let everybody know what's up?
That's right. It's a big announcement. So we are so excited to introduce a brand new sponsor of the Deep Dive podcast, and that is the law offices of Rico Tessendor. Dylan, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Rico?
Yeah, Rico's been a hockey fan since he was a child, watching Hockey Night in Canada broadcasts when the weather would carry the signal down into Washington during the winter time there. And he's been a Kraken fan since day one, too. He's a season ticket holder and a listener of this very podcast. And we knew that Rico was the real deal the first time we met with him, RJ.
Exactly. In fact, Rico reached out to us. He had listened to the podcast before. And when we talked to him, he made it clear that he wanted to be part of this community. He really believes in everything that we're doing here at Emerald City Hockey. And so Dylan and I are so excited that he has partnered with us to help make it possible for us to keep bringing this podcast to all of you.
Yeah. And while we hope none of you ever need his services, the odds do say that at some point, someone out there in the ECH community will be involved in an accident, whether on the road, at work, or anywhere in between. And when you are, we hope you call Rico at 425-778-9800 or visit his website, ricotessendor.com, to schedule a free consultation. He's won millions of dollars for his clients and helped thousands of people in the greater Seattle area. And as a fellow member of the ECH community, we know he'll help you too. So happy to have Rico on board and everything that means.
Yeah, exactly. So really excited to make that announcement, and yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. All right, RJ. I mean, first off, is there anything like general that we should talk about? I mean, the team, they've kind of continued the upward trajectory, maybe a little step back in that Tampa game, but I don't know. I think for the most part, things have been going relatively smooth these last week or so.
Right. I think they've kept the level of play that they've maintained ever since kind of hitting rock bottom after those two losses to San Jose, right? They've looked like a different team and they've played a lot better. Now, that doesn't always translate to wins. They faced some really good opponents. It's been a tough stretch. They do seem to kind of have this weird gravity that pulls them back to 500 at any given time. And especially with the goal differential of exactly 0, that seems to keep kind of popping up. But I think the level of play overall has been more or less consistent despite some of the challenges they've faced. And really what's important is just maintaining that over the long run and where that's going to kind of lead them in the road ahead.
Right. And it sounds like getting healthy too, right? As that bug has kind of been going around with the group, and maybe that's been responsible for maybe some of the stuff we saw in that Tampa Bay game there. It is remarkable though. I don't know that I've ever seen a team, RJ, kind of do this. And maybe I shouldn't be surprised because this is a Seattle team after all, where they can have just an absolute brutal week where, you know, you lose to the Ducks at home, you lose to the Sharks in back-to-back games, followed by weeks where you go on the road and you're beating top teams in the league and you're making it kind of look easy. And then because of both of these things constantly offsetting, you are 500 with a goal differential of 0. And no matter how good or bad you play, you just always seem to end up right back there. I mean, if that isn't like kind of the most Mariners and Seahawks thing ever, I don't really know what else is.
Yeah, the Kraken are fitting in very well with this sports city so far. And, you know, maybe there's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad there. But hopefully they can kind of get a little bit over the 500 mark. And if they can just get to the point to being a playoff team, that would be, I guess, not fitting in a very good way.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That would be a nice one. So let's talk about maybe some ways that they can get there. One of the big things right now, RJ, is before the holiday roster freeze, there's been a lot of trade chatter around the NHL about certain guys that may be available. Perhaps there's other targets as well that aren't getting talked about as much. So kind of starting off the idea of giving a holiday gift to this group, RJ, what do we think the odds are, or what do you think about the idea of Ron Francis going out and maybe targeting a Dylan Cousins or a Kaapo Kakko, just, maybe some of these young guys out there available on the market? What do you kind of feel about that? I know at 500, kind of out of a playoff spot, the idea of adding somebody might seem a little weird, but these are guys that kind of fit in with what I was mentioning a couple weeks ago. When, you look at the Florida Panthers and how they were built, and they went out there and they targeted young players that were struggling in their current place, bring them in, build up their confidence off the ice and on the ice, put them in a good spot to succeed with a good system around them on the ice. Should the Kraken kind of be in these trade discussions, given that, yes, you're adding for this year, but really by adding these young players who are also kind of cost controlled, certainly in the case of Dylan Cousins, you're adding for the long term as well?
Well, I think you hit on it there. There are different types of additions that you can make. And yes, the Kraken not being all that close to a playoff spot at the moment, you're not looking at the trade deadline rental type of players. But when you are adding a player, as former Sharks GM Doug Wilson loved to say, and I always borrow this phrase, for now in the future, someone who fits for now in the future, there's really not a bad time to do it if you believe in the player and can kind of give them a good home and a good atmosphere. And I do like the idea of potentially bringing in a Dylan Cousins or a Kaapo Kakko. Of course, it depends on what the price would be and what a trade looks like. But if you look at the types of players the teams have brought in that have had success, I am usually in favor of bringing in a player in the still very young. Like, both of those players are 23 years old. They're fairly young. Both of them have top 10 pick pedigree. So the talent is certainly there. And then for one reason or another, they haven't really been able to figure it out with the team that drafted him, but it's their first stop in both instances. And so you have players. I mean, I think of not just players that, like in Dylan Cousins' case, right? There are players that the Buffalo Sabres, even in the past, have had to get rid of, right? Whether it's a Ryan O'Reilly, Sam Reinhart, Jack Eichel, they've moved on from several guys who ended up being very successful in future destinations, guys that even had some top draft pick pedigree. And then I look at the defending Cup champions, the Florida Panthers, right? Whether it's Reinhart, who they, where he was with Buffalo, or whether it's Sam Bennett, bringing in guys who had that top 10 pick pedigree, didn't fit for whatever reason at the team that drafted them, but they were able to bring them into a good atmosphere and kind of let them continue to develop into their mid to late 20s, and they paid dividends. So I think Ron Francis should absolutely be in those conversations.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think what's interesting too is, we're talking about, in a specific sense, right? These two players, Cousins and Kakko, both players from the top 10, as you said, really the top, 7 in the 2019 draft, RJ. And we've talked a lot about this, in the last month or so, or really right before when the scratch happened with Shane Wright and the 2022 draft class, and how many players in the top, first round, top 15 picks in that 2022 NHL draft class have already been moved or been sent down to the minors, or just kind of the struggles that they've had. Very similar to kind of this 2019 draft class, RJ, as I was really looking at things. Obviously, you got Jack Hughes, who's doing his thing in New Jersey with the first pick, but now you've got Kakko, who was taken second, very much on the trade block, probably not going to be a Ranger for very much longer. Kirby Dach, already been traded, who was the 3rd overall pick in that draft. Bowen Byram, already been traded, who was the 4th overall pick in that draft. Alex Turcotte, the 5th overall pick, who has really struggled developing and coming along with the Kings. And then now Dylan Cousins, also, it sounds like not going to be around for much longer, who was taken at 7. I mean, Zegras has been rumored to be in trades. He was the 9th overall pick in this one. Philip Broberg just moved this offseason. He was the 8th overall pick. It's crazy, RJ, how this draft class, I mean, Alex Newhook, I think, has been moved. Peyton Krebs has been moved. All first-round picks from this draft class. Very similar to that 2022 draft class, where it just feels like, for whatever reason, and maybe this was COVID affecting their D+1 in 2 years, a lot of these guys have just struggled to fit in places, but that means they could be good potential targets for a Seattle Kraken type team, where you want to build for the now and for the future. Let's talk about the two of these guys more specifically, though. Let's start with Dylan Cousins. I think that's the player that you're probably more excited about.
Yes.
And I think realistically, it's the player to be more excited about. Why don't you let everybody know kind of, who he is, what his play style is, and why you want him?
Right. So Dylan Cousins, I think the big thing that stands out is he is a 6'3" big body center with skill. And that type of player can be among the most coveted in the NHL. It's very rare to have a center with that kind of frame who has scored 30 goals in the NHL. And he did so at age 21. His production has tailed off a little bit since then in the last couple seasons, but he did have that one season of 30 plus goals, 68 points that gave a glimpse of the potential that he has. He's a really good shooter. He's got a great shot from distance. If you look at that 30 goal season and where he scored from a lot, it was around the faceoff dots with just a lightning fast release. And so that package of skills there, it's the size to be able to body people off. It's the ability to play center. It's the skill to have that shot and the stick handling ability to outskill some guys, right? And to be able to play a top 6 game. That is really enticing. And we haven't seen as much of it the last 2 years. The other thing with him too, is just that he plays for the Buffalo Sabres. Like, that team has struggled so much to find good homes and develop their core of players. And he's kind of been a secondary piece for them, but it seems like the development hasn't gone as they'd hoped. And it gives me more hope as opposed to, say, on a team like the Rangers, where, okay, you have some talented players to play around. They have had team success. I feel like Dylan Cousins could really use a change of scenery. And if he gets one, we could see those big numbers that we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's a really interesting case because obviously had that phenomenal season at age 21. Buffalo locks him up long term with that big contract. They're signaling, hey, this is our 2C behind Tage Thompson. He's going to be here for a while. And then just immediately the next year, the production falls off. This year, it's been even worse. I look at the numbers with him, RJ, and I was just trying to pull up kind of some more of the advanced stats and everything to kind of figure out really what's going on with him. He's only had one season at the NHL level where he shot above 10%, right? And that was the year that he shot 30, he scored 31 times. Interestingly, though, that year, only 5 of those 31 goals were on the power play. Like, he's not really a big power play producer, at least not when it comes to his goal scoring. This year, it looks like part of his problem has just been he has been a turnover machine. 30 giveaways to only 5 takeaways. Obviously, things are just not working well for him right now. His shooting percentage is down to 7.8. His expected goal share is not great. It's one of the lowest on a team that's not particularly good at it as a whole. I'm trying to figure out really, like, what is Dylan Cousins, because you've always been more high on him than I have, right? We've
had that debate on the regular podcast
many times. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how much of this is just struggling in Buffalo because everybody in Buffalo is kind of struggling and having issues kind of putting it together, versus how much of this is just Dylan Cousins maybe doesn't quite have that it factor when it comes to being a top 6 center in the NHL. And I think the thing that worries me ultimately the most, RJ, is that shooting percentage. The fact that, he's got, 5 seasons under his belt, so to speak, or at least 5 seasons in which he's played at least 31 games and only one season over a 10% shooting percentage. That seems like a red flag to me. That's more than like a player just not being lucky, like getting unlucky.
Right. It is a large enough sample size, right, that you can say that shooting percentage. I believe he's like 10.1 in his career, but of course that's brought up by the 14.7% a couple of years ago. It's one of those with Dylan Cousins where I can look at the numbers, and the numbers do paint a potentially worrying picture. And that's one where I kind of go back to the eye test and what I see when I watch him play. If you watch him, he has a really good shot. Mm-hmm. He's got a quick release. He's able to find that space. And I guess in a negative scenario, you might compare it a little bit to Matty Beniers, where, we've seen him do it. We've seen him be able to pick those spots and shoot with the best of them, but he doesn't do it often enough, consistently enough to be able to really put up big numbers. I still think Cousins is in a better position than that as far as from just a pure shot perspective. But with a player like him, I think you are betting on the tools, because I watch him play and it is clear that he has all the tools necessary to be a very, very good center in the NHL. And he's had flashes where he's shown it. You just kind of have to believe that he can put all the tools together.
Right. And then comes the other question with regards to the Kraken specifically, because a lot of teams are interested in Dylan Cousins. It sounds like Nashville's the front runner right now. Where the heck do you put him if you're the Seattle Kraken, right? We're already kind of dealing with a situation where there's too many centers on this roster. You're going to bring in somebody who is making, $7.1 million a year. Like you're going to have to play him, and you're going to want to put him in a position to succeed if you're going to take on that contract, especially as a group that doesn't have a ton of cap space. We're already having issues, RJ, fitting in Matty Beniers, Shane Wright with Chandler Stevenson in the mix and getting top 6 minutes. Is Dylan Cousins realistic at all for Kraken fans to be looking at just from a pure roster and lineup standpoint?
Unfortunately, probably not. And really what makes it unrealistic is the Chandler Stevenson signing this past summer, right? With him and the term that he has and that kind of money, that's roughly, it's about $1 million less, but it's roughly Dylan Cousins money. And with Shane Wright and Matty Beniers being kind of long-term fixtures on the team, no, there really isn't a spot for him as a center, given that those are the 3 centers that you've kind of locked yourself into. So unfortunately, probably not. I guess if you bring in a Dylan Cousins, it might make somebody like a Matty Beniers potentially expendable. And then you could see what that would cost you. That's definitely more wheeling and dealing than Ron Francis would ever do.
Yeah.
But that's, I guess, the only way you could kind of do it now that Chandler Stevenson is where he is.
The other thing that I would ask is, what about if you were to bring in a center like this, what about just making Shane Wright a winger? I think he's got the skill set. Like he could perform well on the wing.
He could, and you could make Shane Wright a winger. He could do it. I believe he has the skill set to make that work. I don't know if long term that's best for what you want, but in the short term, you could certainly do it. See if Dylan Cousins is the player that you hope that he is, and then kind of go from there. That is possible. I know people have asked about longer term, just given the term and his age, maybe even making Chandler Stevenson a winger at some point, which you could potentially do. But that would be kind of the way to make it work. Really, it's one that I think if you believe in the player, because Dylan Cousins has such high potential, if you believe he can be that 70-point guy consistently, then you make that trade and you worry about where to put people later.
Yeah. I still have my doubts about Dylan Cousins, and I don't know that the Kraken are really going to go after him. Someone who does potentially make a little bit more sense, RJ, for the Kraken from a lineup standpoint, from certainly a cost standpoint, when it comes to the salary cap, would be Kaapo Kakko from the New York Rangers. RJ, 2nd overall pick in that 2019 draft. And while Dylan Cousins has had one big season that you can point to and say, look, he has had success at the NHL level, it's been a rougher road for Kakko. 40 points is his ceiling so far in the NHL. That happened 2 years ago. It was an 18-goal, 40-point season. Has just kind of developed into like more of a solid 2-way winger, RJ, than really the high upside skill guy that he was kind of drafted to be.
Right. And when you pick a player at 2nd overall, you maybe expect a little bit more in terms of offensive upside. Like Dylan Cousins, Kakko's best offensive season, from a full season standpoint, was a couple years ago in 22-23, 18 goals, 40 points, not massive numbers, but he was able to get on the score sheet a little bit more. And he's scoring at a pretty good rate so far this season. And I think that's one of the reasons that maybe the Rangers might be looking to move him, is because he has improved a bit this year. Contract situation wise, he isn't a contract year. This is the last year of his current contract. He will be a restricted free agent with arb rights coming up. So you do have to know that getting into it, that he's going to need a new contract starting next year. And given his draft pedigree, given the numbers that he's put up, it is an interesting question as to what that contract might look like. So you are getting yourself into that situation too. I mean, Dylan, my question for you on Kakko, though, and maybe you've watched a little bit more of him than I have, because you've kind of followed the top draft prospects as they come up, is the Kraken, as we know, they have an issue where they have a lot of kind of mid-range wingers. Is this just another guy who's going to be more of what they have, right? Is he somebody who's going to be a real solid kind of middle 6 winger guy who's going to score for you occasionally, but not all that much, and it's just going to kind of add to that glut of those type of players the Kraken have?
To make a long story short, yeah. Like, you're looking at basically, realistically, right, the most probable outcome if you are to bring in a Kaapo Kakko, Jaden Schwartz probably, right? Like in Jaden Schwartz level production. That's not bad. Obviously, you need and want players like that to win at the NHL level and all of that kind of stuff. Might be a little bit better from an analytics standpoint as well. I mean, he's one of the better players on the Rangers when it does come to like expected goal share and certainly high danger share as well. So, he is a good two-way player. He does find ways of generating good chances for his team while really limiting things defensively. So maybe you're looking at more of a two-way defensive version of like a Jaden Schwartz. But realistically, you are just looking at a player like that. You're not looking at a player that you could 100% say, yeah, he's gonna slot in on our top line and play with one of our young centers for a long time, the way Sam Reinhart did with Sasha Barkov in Florida. And you're not looking at a guy where you're like, we really need to find another two-way center to have like down the middle like a Sam Bennett. Like he's not really going to do that job for you either, and the Kraken don't really need that down the middle anyway. I think what makes Kakko attractive though is he is really good at limiting other teams in the high danger chances in the defensive zone. He is somebody that, you have Chandler Stevenson locked up for a while. We know his deficiencies there. If you put him on the wing with a Chandler Stevenson, maybe he's able to help out defensively there and kind of, pull that closer to even. And he can do something like that while also being able to score, 15, maybe upside 20 goals a season for you. But really the thing that should make him most attractive is you're probably not going to need to give up too much to get him, right? Like unlike Dylan Cousins, because he hasn't had one of those breakout seasons where he has put up a 30 goals season or he has put up 68 points in a season, I think you could probably get him for a second round pick, maybe even a third round pick.
Yeah. And also given what the Rangers are looking at, right? This is kind of a make or break season for them. I wonder if they might even want some immediate help, and maybe you could offer even one of your pending UFAs for a player like that.
A Tanev for Kakko swap could work.
Something like that, or even if you're willing to retain money on a Yanni Gourde, as much as I'd hate to lose him from a Kraken perspective right now, in the long term, that's the kind of deal that could really pay dividends for you. So those are the kind of things that I might look at as well.
Yeah, and I look at a player like Eli Tolvanen, and we've seen what a big impact Tolvanen has had on Shane Wright's wing, being that kind of heavy forechecker who's going to go into the zone with speed, forecheck, force a turnover in the defensive zone, and then a Bjorkstrand type or Shane Wright can pick it up, throw it to the other one in the slot. That's really just how that line has been operating and finding ridiculous amounts of success right now. Kaapo Kakko could do that all day long. Right? Like he is somebody that if you decide, hey, that's kind of going to be our system, that seems to work well for us, kind of attacking off the rush. Anytime we need to dump it in, we just go in heavy on the forecheck. He's going to do that for you all day long. He's young. He is, big body, 6'2", 206. He could play that style for you and give you returns there. Depending on how much you'd have to pay him, you could argue whether or not it would make sense if that's really his primary role. But I do think the Kraken could more easily find a spot for him. Like I said, defensively helping out a Chandler Stevenson, offensively going in heavy on the forecheck, trying to force turnovers in the offensive zone. It's just, and he wouldn't cost a lot. It's just, what does that contract situation look like?
Right. He's not the best fit for what the team's ultimate goal is, which to try and bring in real difference makers. He doesn't solve the team's biggest problem, but it could be a nice little bit of business if the price is right. And that's the big if. Is the price right in terms of a contract and the return? If so, he could be worthwhile. Whereas with Dylan Cousins, you are chasing that really high-end upside that could potentially be like a real top player for you. Like I almost compare it to like a Martin Necas type of trade, if they would do that this past off season, right? Kind of try and catch a star before he really hits that star potential.
Yeah, exactly. So those have been like the two big names circulating here, RJ, before the roster freeze. Is there anybody else, or at least a kind of, I guess you kind of just talked about it, right? A type of player that you'd want to see the Kraken go out and target. I just like the idea of if they're going to make moves, obviously we know depending on where they're at, they might sell off the pending UFAs and Yanni Gourde and Brandon Tanev. But I really think this is the model, right? Florida is such a well-built team. You and I were talking about that yesterday. this is the model to kind of follow, is to find these draft classes where guys are struggling and go out there and bring them in if you think you have the right coaching staff to put them in a spot to succeed. And this is where having Coach Dan Bylsma in charge of the Kraken, RJ, gives me a lot of hope, because we've seen already the immediate returns he can get out of guys with just a game or two of a scratch. Completely turned Shane Wright around, has turned Oliver Bjorkstrand around, has gotten a little bit more out of Andre Burakovsky, right? We've seen what he can kind of do connecting with guys. Having someone for, say, the second half of this year, full offseason, full training camp, I really do believe in this coaching staff's ability to connect with them, build their confidence, and put them in the right spot to succeed out there.
Right. And that's not something that we were always saying last year, as far as if
Mhm.
you're to bring another player into, this situation probably wouldn't go well. But now I think you have that infrastructure, you have that good culture you can bring guys into. And so that is the blueprint that I want to see. And you mentioned Florida. That's a team that's done it really well. Like, I look at the Reinhart, I look at the Bennett trades, and I don't want to keep going back to Cousins and use like these Reinhart comps, but like the Panthers traded Sam Reinhart, right? He was a second overall pick, and at that time he was 25 years old, and his top scoring season was 65 points at that time. Dylan Cousins actually has scored more in a season already than Sam Reinhart had by the time that Florida got him. And of course, he just takes off in Florida around a better team and a better culture. The Kraken don't necessarily have Florida's surrounding cast at this point, to put a player in. But I think that's the type of trade they should be looking for: young players who are ready to take that next step to be real difference makers.
Exactly. So we'll see what they do and where those players ultimately end up around the NHL. Now, onto the players that the Kraken do have, RJ. So that was kind of like our idea of a group present, a group gift that can be given to the whole team, is maybe adding in a young player there who could help them out in the near term and the long term. Let's talk about them on a more individual basis here. We'll start net out as we always do, RJ. Joey Daccord.
Yes.
What are you thinking for Joey?
I know, and I love this assignment of getting each Kraken player a holiday gift. It is the giving season, and so this was really fun to kind of create this list of things to give players. And for Joey Daccord, I want to give him something I know he does not have: a Canadian passport.
Okay.
Because of course, there's been the talk about Joey Daccord, the Four Nations tournament, and he was not named to the Canada roster, but I guess he's eligible if he were to get a Canadian passport, which is something that he could potentially look into. I want to give him that passport just so he has the option to play if he wants to. I'm not saying he should. In fact, it'd probably be better for the Kraken if he didn't. But I want to give him all the options out there to go show his stuff at the international stage.
You hear that, Joey? Just give RJ all your pertinent details, social security number, all that kind of stuff. And RJ's going to take care of all the paperwork for you. It's such a deal. My gift for Joey Daccord is one that is a gift for him. It's a little bit of a challenge for him. And it would also ultimately, assuming everything goes right, be a massive gift for everybody, really. And that is more goalie goal chances. I want to see Joey have more opportunities where the net is empty at the other end of the ice and he's able to get a little bit of time and space where he can check it down there and see what happens. I think, just watching him, I don't think I've ever been around a team this closely who has a goalie that so obviously has the potential to make this happen, right? I see you every time the situation comes up at CPA, you jump up, you've got the phone out, you're set to record it. We've seen the chances on the road too. I think that if we can just get him a little bit more chances, he should be able to pull that one off and kind of give it to all of us. I thought about just giving the goalie goal, but I think it would be better and it probably feels more rewarding if he earns it. So I just want to give him the chances to go out there and earn it.
I like that. And that's a gift not just for him, but really for all of us, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody would get on board all around the NHL, really, right? Goalie goals, it feels like even the team you scored on, they're kind of just happy to have seen it. So I feel like
they're not even mad.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a universal everybody wins type gift, and I'm all for that.
All right. So what do you have for Philip Grubauer, the other goalie in the tandem?
So I have like kind of two gift ideas here. I have an on ice and an off ice gift idea for Philip Grubauer. On ice, more goal support. He's starting to maybe get some this season, but like, this team has proven capable of putting up a decent amount of goals for him. I want to see them continue that trend and give him those opportunities so that really we could see him with the Kraken, RJ, have that, because we haven't really. You could argue that this season we've had the most opportunities we've ever seen of him having, good winnable goal support, and we're only 30 something games into the season. So I would like to see more goal support for him on the ice, off the ice. And this is maybe a little bit selfish for me. I want him to get a nice Christmas Clydesdale horse, just a massive, massive horse he can add to the group that he's got, because I would love to ask about the care and maintenance and everything around a Clydesdale, and then maybe me showing that I have some knowledge there. He invites me over and I get to one day ride a Clydesdale, because that's like a dream.
Okay, I like that gift idea. Another one, gift for you as well. So you're benefiting a lot from these early gifts, but we do know that Grubauer loves horses, so I'm sure he would appreciate that gift. And this one, okay, so your gift is definitely going to outshine mine. That's not even close. And maybe a couple weeks ago I would have said I would have gotten him a beach ball or something, yes. But I will not. I'm going to go with a really comfy pair of socks.
Okay.
Just like a nice, comfy pair of socks, one that you want to wear all the time, right? Because when I think of holiday gifts, that's
you think of getting socks.
I think of. Well, no, because it's a good gift. It's not flashy, but it's the ultimate good enough gift where I'm always happy that I've received them. It's not anything crazy. I never pointed as the best gift that I got that year, but I'm always happy to have received it because it is good enough. And that's kind of the message that I want to send. And, what I want Philip Grubauer to kind of have more of, right? These last couple games that he's started. I mean, he had a really good one against Boston. Then against Tampa, yeah, they lost the game, but he was good enough. And that's all he really needs to do is just be good enough to give the team a chance to win. He needs to be that really comfy pair of socks. That's what I'm saying.
All right. RJ's the guy that gives socks for Christmas. That's what I got out of that.
I enjoy receiving socks for Christmas. I don't know. Maybe I'm a boring guy because of that. Oh, I certainly am, but I enjoy it.
No, I do like your reasoning behind that there. That is a good one. All right, on to the defense here, RJ. And I think we should just go ahead and get Adam Larsson out of the way real quick, because kind of gave Adam Larsson his holiday gift early this year, and that was just Vince Dunn coming back.
Yeah, that was huge. And actually, I had a t-shirt with Vince Dunn's face on it. And low enough that you can cut it into the deep V and not cut into Vince Dunn's face. But I mean, I think that's the one thing that he's still missing, right? He loves his D partner. They are inseparable. They sit next to each other in the locker room. They drive back from practice together. I think he should have a shirt with Vince Dunn's face on
it. That's not too bad. I guess the other thing we could do it, but although ultimately this is really a gift Vince Dunn would have to get for Adam Larsson. So Vince, if you're listening, this is what you could do. Although it sounds like Lars has already kind of told you about it. We know this courtesy of our friend Kate Shefty. Adam Larsson, his pup's lonely. He's been bugging Vince Dunn to get a dog so that they could go to the dog park together, RJ. Maybe we got to get Vince Dunn for the holiday season a dog, so that then Vince can go hang out with Lars at the dog park.
I like that idea. I will leave that one to you, though, because I do not know enough about dogs to pick the right fit for Vince Dunn.
Yeah. I'd have to think about that to figure it out. That, and Lars's dog is, Lars's dog is huge, so you have to kind of get something comparable for them to play. Probably don't want to get like a little 12-pound dog to go out there with the 100-pound beast, right? But I'll have to think about that one. Speaking of Vince Dunn, though, RJ, what do you have for him?
My gift for Vince Dunn, and it's some bubble wrap. I'm going to get him a giant spool of bubble wrap, and I'll be kind of calm about it. I'll be like, hey, babe, feel free if you want to try. It's not for wrapping presents. You feel free to put some of that on. You know what? Find out how much you could even wear. It'll be fun, right? See how much of that you could wear while still playing hockey. I don't know. You could play some hockey with it, because he needs to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Like I do not want him getting hurt again. The team is so much better with him in the lineup, and if he can find a way to play with some of that bubble wrap on, I think we've really found something here.
Does that break the NHL's uniform code? I wonder if you.
Well, not if you put it under the jersey.
If you put it all under the jersey, you're probably fine. So I had two for Vince Dunn. I had something similar where it was, whether it's like a TB12 diet kit or whatever it is, right? Just something that'll kind of help keep him healthy and get him going. So I'll go with the other one I had here, RJ, and that is one from me that he can then redeem back to me. One Dundertaker coupon, so that he can just go off, do his Dundertaker thing, and when he hands me that coupon after the game, I can't say anything about it. Doesn't matter what the situation is, what penalty he took, whatever, he gets off without me getting on his case about it.
I love that idea. I think the fans would like that too. Just one.
Just one.
The second one. Yeah, exactly. Don't give him a whole coupon booklet. Yeah.
Yes. But I think he has earned, just with his play and how much he means to this group and everything, I think he has earned, once a year to be able to have one of those coupons where he can go out there and have himself a little fun, and we won't give him a hard time.
If he has just the one, he's going to want to really go earn it. He's going to go way off the rails.
Did not think about that. I did not think about that, and I guess I have to hope that he doesn't either.
You got to put in the fine print, like maybe certain things that he cannot do.
Yes, yeah. Can't fight anybody that's more than 2 inches taller or 15 pounds heavier.
Can't jump into the opposing team's bench and just try and take them all on.
Start going. Yes, goalies are exempt. Something like that.
Yes. All right, good gift idea. Yeah. All right, so we got Dunn, we got Larson. Moving on to the next D pair. Which one do you go with first? Actually, I'm going to insist we go with Jamie Alexiak first, because I thought we might be going Dunn Larson, but Alexiak, it's a similar gift to Adam Larson, but I'm giving him a T-shirt with Brandon Montour's face on it, because I kind of want the same thing here. Look, the Dunn Larson pair is famous and they're great together. The Alexiak Montour pair is so great. And I want them to kind of have a similar thing as Dunn and Larson. So I'm going to start it off with a T-shirt with Brandon Montour's face on it. And hopefully that the coaching staff gets the message too and never breaks that D pair up as long as they're both healthy. They tried it one game. I hope they don't ever try it again.
RJ, did you invest in some sort of clothing company? Got socks for Grubauer. You're getting T-shirts for everybody on the blue line. Is there something I need to know about here? Little holiday investing. For Jamie Alexiak, now this is something that before my latest ailment with my back, I would have never considered probably, but it has come in handy for me and my inability to kind of bend over and get things, RJ, and it's helped out like my girlfriend's mom who recently broke her knee, and I think it could help out Jamie Alexiak, who is tall, who is a professional athlete in a contact sport, and I'm sure gets lots of bumps and bruises, and bending over sometimes is probably a little rough for him, especially because he's got a lot longer of a way to go down than I do. And that's one of those little grabby claw things that you can use to pick up stuff without having to bend over. He might not need it now, but I'm just guessing as a hockey player, one day in the future, he will need it, and he'll be like, darn, Dylan really, look, 35 years to the future, got me the perfect gift. I'm really glad I kept this through however many moves I made over the last 3.5 decades.
There you go. Now you're thinking ahead too. It's one of those gifts might not be appreciated at the time, but at some point it will come in handy. Yeah. And actually, as we go from Alexiak to Brandon Montour, I was going to ask for your advice on a back-related thing, because I know you've had the back issues. Yeah. What has been the most helpful thing for dealing with your back and the pain? Because for Brandon Montour, I got him 2 gifts, because I think he's earned 2 gifts. Okay. I don't do this for every player, but he's played so well. He earns 2 gifts.
Way to play favorites and let everybody know when 2 presents are sitting there in front of his locker stall.
Well, here's the thing. I had arranged to get him 1 gift already, and this is for his back. Okay. And then the second gift idea just came to me today during practice. And so I'm not just going to not get him the perfect gift if I just think about it too late. So as for the first gift, though, what has helped the most with your back pain? Because Brandon Montour, I want to get him something for carrying the blue line on his back for so much of the season with Vince Dunn out. I feel like, again, even if it is just preventative, right? I want to get him something for his back. What would you recommend? Maybe a heating pad?
I was going to say the heating pad, once you ice the first couple days, get rid of inflammation, then you switch over to heat to loosen up all the muscles. I was going to say, if you want the honest opinion, it's been muscle relaxers. That's been the biggest help, because it's allowed me to then loosen things up. It stops seizing up, so I could actually try to stretch it out and get better. But yeah, I think like a heating pad. Actually, I got one of those belts that the little packs you can put in it that sit on your back. They can either be frozen or heated up in the microwave. So one that can kind of do both would probably be good.
Okay, sounds good. You can send me your affiliate link or something, and
Yes.
I'll go click on that and get it
Sounds
for him.
good.
So the second gift, and I thought about this in practice today, a DVD or Blu-ray or whatever format he wants of the best shootout goals and breakaway moves in NHL history that he can watch. And the reason I'm getting him that is because today in practice, the team finished with a shootout. And so everyone kind of did their shootout moves. And you know what move Brandon Montour did? He perfectly imitated Alexander Barkov's fake between the legs and then go to the backhand move. It was the exact same move. Montour is right-handed, so I think it was kind of a mirror image of it. But he got Joey to bite again every bit as much as Barkov did in the shootout. And so I love seeing that from him. He sees a great shootout move and he imitates it successfully. And now he's on my ever-growing list of defensemen I want to see shoot in the shootout. But I want to get him that DVD so we can see all the great shootout moves and add all that stuff to his repertoire.
That's a great idea for him. And yeah, he's one of the guys that could absolutely pull it off. Then I guess maybe got to add on a third gift, RJ, which is a coupon that he could redeem with Coach Dan Bylsma to put him in the shootout.
I should just give one of those to all the defensemen.
All the defensemen. Yep. Yes. Group gift for the defensemen. That's not a bad one. My gift for Brandon Montour was a DJ booth setup at the front of the room in the locker room so that he can really get things going as he's come in, kind of taking over DJ responsibilities. Sounds like does a good job with it. I think giving him just a proper setup, he can stand there at the front of the room while all the guys are, either getting ready for a game or cooling off afterwards. Really, really get him in there, and he can show off, some of those Miami skills he probably picked up from spending time in Florida.
That is nice. I know he would enjoy that gift as the guy who took over, I think without any opposition really, as the locker room DJ this preseason.
Yeah, that is good. On to the third pairing here, RJ. Why don't we start with Riker Evans? What did you get, Garth?
I got him a set of floaties and a snorkel.
Okay.
And you could probably figure out why.
Yep.
It'd be fun to see him reprise his role as Garth. Just take a quick trip down to Coachella Valley, hang out with the new guys. It's a whole new generation of players on that team, right? I'd love to see him just reprise that role one more time with, say, like a Yanni Newman or a Jagger Firkus on the show.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I thought about going with, like a gluten-free cookbook, like, one of my sister's recommendations. They both can't have gluten, a whole bunch of different types of flours to substitute for something like that so that he could make something good. But I thought, you know what? Riker Evans is a pretty serious dude, right? He takes his job very seriously, wants to improve out there. So I'm just going to give him more power play time so that he can learn and grow in that spot, right? Kind of go stick the Vince Dunn, Brandon Montour duo up there on the first unit power play. Let Riker cook on the second unit and give him that time now that Vince Dunn is back. He's not getting as much of it. I think that's the kind of gift that Riker Evans would appreciate.
I think that's a good gift for him. That was my next question is, okay, how are you doing this? Are you,
Yes.
Let's hope that Dunn and Montour are both okay. But I would like to see that look a little bit more often. Maybe if the power play cools down a bit, you could put those two back together. And I think that'd be fun for Riker Evans. It really through no fault of his own. He just doesn't have the power play time anymore.
Yeah, exactly. What about for Will Borgen, RJ?
So this one,
It's tough.
It's tough, right? I'm going to get him a pair of binoculars, and yes, they are for the press box, because I think he could use a reset much in the same way as Shane Wright, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Andrei Burakovsky. They all kind of had their reset earlier this season, and you've convinced me, Dylan. I think probably the time is right for a Will Borgen reset. And of course, with the team going on the road for 4 games, Chicago, Vegas, Colorado, Vancouver, all of those places don't have press boxes in as good a location as at Climate Pledge Arena.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually do kind of need binoculars. Vegas is the one I've been to personally, and you definitely need binoculars from there. So I'm going to get him some for the press box, but he'll be back.
Yes, I kind of went with maybe a gentler option along the same lines there, and that's with one of the giant comically oversized, like, that was easy Staples buttons, but it's a reset button, and it's one that he can, easily press reset. It's not going to be like on an electronic where you got to like unfold a paper clip and try to get it in the little hole to kind of get to the reset button. No, it's just a nice big one, easy to access. Can go ahead and press that thing and move forward and kind of bounce back from the rough stretch that he's had here this season. And then last but not least, RJ, Josh Mahura. And this one, you can say that I took the easy way out if you want. Just more playing time. Get that man in the lineup. He deserves to be in the lineup each and every night. That's the best thing I could think to get Josh Mahura, is just a full-time role.
Okay, so that's an easy out with Josh Mahura. Just say more playing time. You didn't address how we're going to get him more playing time, but you know what? I have an idea. It's the holiday season. What do you think of when you think of the holiday season, right? One of the many things, but jingle bells.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get him a jingle bell collar that he can wear during the games, because he is so quietly good, right? we love how Josh Mahura is playing, but it's not flashy, right? He's the kind of defenseman that you just never even notice, but it's great because you never notice him for messing up or doing anything bad. And I think that might have been causing him to be overlooked a little bit. He hasn't been in the lineup. So I'm going to get him a jingle bell collar. So whenever he's out there on the ice, he'll be making the jingle bell sounds and everybody be looking at him like, oh yeah, who's that guy playing such solid defense? Oh yeah, that's Josh Mahura. I can hear it. My eye is drawn to him. And so this is how we're going to get him more playing time.
So I love the idea of this, to draw more attention to the great work that Josh Mahura does out there. I love that you go with a physical object, a collar no less, instead of like just a Kraken Hockey Network like overlay that follows him around so everyone watching the broadcast can see him easier.
Well, no, but you got to get the coaching staff, the people in the building.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
Nobody can miss the jingle bell collar. That is foolproof.
That is true. Nobody would miss that. That is for sure. That's a good one. All right. No, yeah. All right, on to the forward group, RJ, and I believe you said we should go down in point order, right? For the forward group here. Jared McCann then is the Kraken's leading point scorer amongst the forward group, and I had a really, really hard time with Jared McCann. It was the last one that I filled in, RJ, but I think I've got it because, he's in a little bit of a funk right now, right? He's not scoring as much at the moment. I want to get a locker room pass that'll allow Jared McCann to bring Cheddar in whenever he wants, so that Cheddar can just be hanging out with the team, unofficial mascot, whatever you want to call it. But let Cheddar in that room. Let Cheddar hang out with him before the games. Come visit him during the intermissions. All of that stuff, the whole 9 yards. Cheddar gets all the access, right? On our press badges, it's got like there's like 6 spots. We get like 3 of them. Cheddar gets all 6. And Cheddar can just go anywhere Cheddar wants. And then, Jared McCann can have his pup around and hopefully gets him going right again.
I don't think anybody could possibly be opposed to that idea. So of course that's good. I will say you're a big fan of coupons and passes and things of the like. But I am going to counter with another like coupon pass, something like that, another piece of paper here. And I don't want to sound too mean here, but we'll go with the doctor's note. An allergy doctor's note. I don't know if they like give those out or whatever, but just like one of those allergy things that says that he's allergic to Chandler Stevenson. And so the coaching staff they cannot play him with Chandler Stevenson. He's allergic. He needs to be with somebody else. That's just not going to work. So I think that is the way to get him going again. I'll be honest. I think the fit just isn't there.
You're not wrong. I was looking for a gentle way to get around that, and
I'll say it.
You're not wrong. Oliver Bjorkstrand is the next one up. RJ, what do you got for Oliver Bjorkstrand, who's just been on an absolute tear recently?
Well, if you called me out on my new clothing brand or whatever that I have, right? So I was going to say some heat resistant clothing because he's just been on fire, but I will pass on that because you figured me out here. But I'm going to go with the Danish Kringle from Trader Joe's.
Okay.
I feel like he might enjoy that. Just the Kraken's lone Danish player. My fiance loves those. We went to Trader Joe's the other day, and we went there specifically to get the Danish Kringle.
Yep.
Yes, just to get that one, because I mean she's gonna eat it up. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of the almonds and stuff for the dessert, but I feel like Oliver Bjorkstrand might like one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Oliver Bjorkstrand's space, RJ.
Like outer space.
Yeah, no space, so that everybody has to give him a wide berth. Nobody can get in the way of whatever routine he's running right now. That is keeping him, just as arguably their best forward over these last couple of weeks here. Just he gets the space and the time to do whatever routine he's been on. Nobody's ever going to get in his way or disrupt it, so that he can just keep doing this and then keep having the results out there on the ice. So I'm giving Oliver Bjorkstrand space.
Yeah. I did think about just getting him nothing because he doesn't need anything and just don't mess with it. But I feel like a sweet treat probably won't mess him up too bad.
No, probably not. Chandler Stevenson is the next one, RJ. And I know like our minds immediately went to, he got the big contract. I mean, that's certainly going to be the best gift he got all season. What did you end up going with for Chandler Stevenson?
Can you go first on him?
I could go first. Yes. So Chandler Stevenson, RJ, when I think of Chandler Stevenson, one of the first things I think of is the way he dresses to come into the arena each and every day. Okay. And I was like, he has a very specific look. You and I have talked about this and the type of clothes he wears and the kind of vibe that he goes for. And so what I want to get Chandler Stevenson, because this is what it reminds me of, I'm going to get him a photo shoot where he can wear all of his like game day outfits, RJ, but the photo shoot themes it all as James Bond villain, because that's what he looks like to me. He dresses like a James Bond villain, not maybe like a current Daniel Craig era James Bond villain, but like a good old Roger Moore James Bond villain. I feel like that's what Chandler Stevenson's always kind of going for with his game day fits.
Yeah, the turtleneck mustache combo, it really gives Bond villain. And as soon as I think they had the blue carpet, right, for the home opener, and we saw him come out and we're just like, yep, this screams Bond villain. So I think that's a fantastic gift idea. I almost don't want to give mine here at this point because yours is so much better. We have the stat of how he has a lot of his production against teams that are kind of at the bottom end of the league. I was saying a free Kraken Hockey League season pass. I think that'd be fun. You could really juice those numbers. That'd be fun.
Go stunt on everybody. Just let out any
play for my team.
I was just gonna say, is this just to get him on your team, RJ? Is that what's going on here?
I would gladly be on his line. That would help juice my numbers quite a bit too. I could use it.
That it probably would. Yes, I see what's going on here. Next one up is Jaden Schwartz. Now, this one, not gonna lie, everybody, absolutely the hardest one. Like, no question. Even though this wasn't the last one I had to fill in, by far and away, the hardest one was Jaden Schwartz for both of us. I think I feel safe saying.
Yep.
I finally went with something, RJ. Okay. And that is just fruit, lots of fruit, because Jaden Schwartz isn't big on talking about, his personal life and all that kind of stuff. But what we do know he likes, RJ, just from media availabilities and seeing his locker and stuff like that, he's a big fruit fan. So I just want to give Jaden Schwartz a nice, lovely, like fruit basket, or maybe some sort of subscription where he gets a bunch of fruits delivered, whatever's in season, kind of monthly, something like that. But I think that's the way to go with Jaden Schwartz.
You know what? I think that's a lovely gift, and you can leave that nice fruit basket in his locker stall, and of course it'll have a little tag on it that says from Dylan, so he knows it's from you. And I'm going to just take out a Sharpie and I'm going to put and RJ at the end of it. So that's going to be my gift to Jaden Schwartz.
Sounds good. I will allow it. I was going to say, you could say from Dylan and he can walk up and say, who's Dylan?
Yeah.
We don't talk to him much. Matty Beniers is the next one up here, RJ. What have you got for Matty?
This might seem a little extreme, but I'm going to get him a sniper rifle.
Oh, jeez.
Going from fruit to a sniper rifle.
Yeah, that's a step up.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Like Grubauer, I'm going to go with kind of the metaphor gift here, but I think I want Matty Beniers to get more comfortable sniping pucks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if he gets comfortable with an actual sniper rifle,
that'll
maybe
do
those
it.
things will connect. I don't know.
I mean, it's a good.
It can't hurt.
It's a
Well,
good.
actually, it can hurt. It definitely can.
Yeah, I was
hurt,
gonna
but-
say, it's a good thing he added some upper body strength there. He could deal with the recoil of it and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I was in a similar boat as far as thinking, what can we do to get him some puck luck, or as I put it, add a few percentage points to ye old shooting percentage. Because I was trying to make it sound a little festive. I went old school though. I kind of drew on my family's Irish roots and was just going to say like a 4-leaf clover he can kind of stick in his sock or in his skate when he's out there, because he's firing pucks, and maybe that would just kind of help get him on target a little bit more. So same vein. Two very different approaches to it.
Yeah, there are two types of gift givers.
One's very American, the other one very superstitious and supernatural. Yes. There we go.
You can let us all know which one you prefer.
Yes. We've got Ellie Tolvanen up next here, RJ. What do you have for Ellie Tolvanen?
So him being Finnish, I was just going to go with either like a little sauna or some sauna accessories, because you cannot go wrong giving that to a Finn. But I think I'm actually going to give his gift not to him. I'm going to do a reel of his recent play, because Ellie Tolvanen has played really well on that line with Shane Wright and Oliver Bjorkstrand. I'm going to do a nice little super cut of all the little things that he's done, because maybe it doesn't come up as far as the goals or anything, right? Bjorkstrand's got a lot of the numbers, Wright's got a lot of the numbers, but I'm going to take a reel of his recent play and I'm going to send it to Jari Lehtinen, who's the GM for the Finnish national team in the Four Nations. And should a player get hurt or should a roster spot open up, I feel like Tolvanen should be that next call, but I want to make sure that he is that next call. Yeah, no, that's a good one. And I was thinking along the lines of your first thought, right? Because yes, and maybe this is like bad. It's a little, you can't always assume that the Finn wants a sauna, but I did add in addition to the sauna, because like I said earlier, right? You gotta ice first, then you do heat. So I was giving like a combo ice bath / sauna setup, so that he's kind of got both to go out there, because he's been doing so much heavy forechecking, RJ. I'm sure his body would love to be able to kind of go through that and recover after the games here. I mean, low key, everybody. Yeah, Ty Cartier is like insane when it comes to hits. Ellie Tolvanen second on this team in hits with 84, which is not a low number for really any player in the National Hockey League right now, but certainly for a guy who's only getting 13 minutes and playing the also skill game that he can, already with 8 goals this season. Ellie Tolvanen, he throws the body around, so I wanted to make sure he can recover appropriately after each and every game. Maybe one of those massage guns too, kind of work out anything that gets tight there, and then he can come back and do it all again, because he has been very instrumental in getting that third line going. Yep, second on the team and hits all of last season too. So that's it's underrated. We don't always take notice of it, but that's a good gift. Yeah. And then RJ, we have a 3-way tie for points here between Brandon Tanev, Yanni Gourde, and Shane Wright. Who do you want to go with first? I'll let you kick us off with one of those players. Okay, well let's go with Shane Wright, because for whatever reason I struggled with this one. So I actually took a page from your book, your coupon book. Okay. And he gets a coupon that he can redeem for 17 minutes of ice time, whichever game he wants. I mean, I would give him a whole coupon book full of these if it was up to me, but we'll start with one so that maybe it's accepted by the coach. But he still doesn't have more than 16 and a half minutes of ice time in any game in his career. I just want to see what it would look like, and maybe a coupon would get it done. That is true. That is true. I got for Shane Wright, and this is a gift for Shane Wright and friends, and that is that the power play unit that Shane Wright is on becomes the team's #1 power play unit, because it's driving me crazy, RJ. Here's Shane Wright scoring just about every game a power play goal or assisting on a power play goal every single game. And yet when the Kraken get a power play, which power play unit comes out there first, RJ? It's not the one with Shane Wright on it. It's not the one doing all of the scoring. So I got for Shane Wright and for friends, just the fact that their unit will be labeled, power play unit 1, and go out there to start and get, good minute 20 on every power play, because I really think that's what should be happening right now. Yeah, that's a good gift. And I think we were both on the same page there. More opportunity overall is kind of what we want to see. Yep. Let's go with Brandon Tanev next, RJ, just because I had him a little above Yanni Gourde on my list when I wrote it all down. And the thing that I'm going to get Brandon Tanev,
Make fun of me. I'm going back to the coupon book. This is this is an actual coupon that we could give though, RJ. Like IRL, we could actually give this to Brandon Tanev, and that is a coupon for 1 month free from having to do media scrums.
Does he need a coupon for that?
I was gonna say he's generally pretty good at finding a way, but this way he wouldn't have to worry about it. Doesn't have to go sneaking around or anything. He can just kind of relax and know he's good.
You know, I think that's a good gift. Yeah, and in that way, it's true. You do know, you don't have to worry about it. So that's a good gift. I like that one. For me, I did get him 2 gifts. I got him 2 gifts, but they're 2 smaller gifts.
Okay.
So first of all, just an ice pack for blocking as many shots as he has.
Yeah.
It feels like he blocks a really painful one, like every game.
Yeah.
So that's the simple, easy one to get him. And then the other one, and this is why I get him 2, because the second gift, a new razor, but one that doesn't work.
Okay.
It's just a faulty razor, because he was clean shaven at practice today, and occasionally he'll be clean shaven. It just weirds me out, man. I don't know, it just doesn't look right, and I know I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Okay.
So like it was talked about at practice day. It just looks off. I don't know, but get him a new razor, one that doesn't work, so he can't do that.
All right, sounds good. For Yanni Gourde, RJ, I kind of copped out again. I'm giving Yanni Gourde a speedy recovery.
That would be good. And so far so good, because he actually was at practice today. He did skate, and he was kind of rotating in on line rushes. So we can kind of use this as a injury update little segment here. But so Yanni Gourde, and then I'm trying to look at the injury update on him, but he's still day to day. We'll see if he's back in the next game, but it looks like he's got a real shot. So speedy recovery going well so far. For me, I'm going to get Yanni Gourde, and this is kind of a make your own gift. I'm just going to get him some wood. Just give him some pieces of wood. And this one I think is a practical gift, but also like the metaphor gift that I seem to like as well.
Is it?
Because
just a random assortment of pieces of wood.
Yes, because this season, I think what he's done better than anything else is you just put him on a line and he will make something good out of it. Like he will make the best of any situation you put him into. And I know that he is a woodworker. We do know that about Yanni Gourde. He does woodworking. He built some really cool things. I think even a swing for his family, right? So I'm going to trust that you just give him some wood and he's going to make something really good out of it.
Yeah. Sure.
So maybe not the best.
No. Hey, look, I took the ultimate cop-out answer, so I really shouldn't be saying anything. No, I think that is good. Andre Burakovsky, RJ, is the next one up. And, it's obvious what Berkey's been struggling with this season. It's been in the goal scoring department, only 2 goals through 30 games played, 4.7 shooting percentage. I thought about maybe going the route of like a shooter tutor, right? So that he can just kind of find a way to pick the corners and stuff. But then I really got into it, and I was thinking, RJ, what has Berkey really been struggling with here? Because it actually hasn't been beating the goaltender. It's been hitting the post. So what I'm offering to do for Andre Burakovsky is to go into CPA under the cover of darkness, and I will start shaving down the sides of the posts at CPA to angle them so that pucks that hit them go in. Right? It angles the puck in instead of bouncing it out to the outside. Just kind of gently, maybe it'll even take a series of visits so that it's not too obvious too fast, right? There's not too many like paint shavings from the red post on the ice that draws suspicion. But I think Andre Burakovsky should have some angled posts out there so that all these shots where he's ringing it off the iron, they just kind of angle in instead.
Now that's commitment. Being able to go in on the cover of darkness, do this little by little, much better. Wishing you a speedy recovery.
Yes.
So we see who you're willing to put the work in for, but I do think Berkey needs it more than Yanni does. So fair enough. But that is a very very thoughtful gift of you to do there. Certainly better than my gift here. This is a little silly, but I was going to get him a button hook. A literal button hook, the actual device that kind of hooks buttons onto garments, just to
as a reminder.
As a reminder, but also just to fulfill his button hook fix. So he already has a button hook. He doesn't need to button hook out on the ice.
That is very good. That is very clever. I approve. That gets my seal of approval there. Jordan Eberle is next one up, RJ. Again, right? Like very easy to just say like a recovery, something like that, right? But I'm just going to say lots of fun with the kids, especially the new little one. right? While he is recovering, I just think that realistically, I'm sure it's been very frustrating him having this injury, knowing he's going to miss the vast majority of this season. Right after being named captain, the team was kind of on a roll. He was off to a fantastic start to the season. So I just hope that while he does have to be away from the ice, he's really able to maximize it and have the most fun possible with his family and kind of be able to see those years with the kids that a lot of pro athletes miss out on because they are working and they are so busy with their schedule. He'll be able to have a lot of time with them as they are kind of growing up and going through all that.
Yeah, we were thinking in a similar way, and Jordan Eberle is in kind of a unique situation where he's recovering from surgery. It just had a new child that arrived right around when he got injured, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, in the sense that he will get to spend time with them. But I'm gonna say one of those really fancy sleep pods, like where you go in and just sleep all apart from everything else, and it can have all the nice features or whatever. Because I cannot think of two things that are more antithetical to good sleep than recovering from pelvic surgery and having a new baby.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that he can sleep well, which I'm sure has been pretty difficult for him. But if we can get him a really nice sleep pod, maybe that'll help.
Yeah, some sort of hyperbaric chamber, something like that. That is an interesting one. That is a good one there for old Ebbs. Ty Cartier is next. This one was another very difficult one for me, RJ. I'm curious what you had, because you acted like this was easy. You had something for Ty Cartier right away while I was struggling. So come on, I've been waiting this whole podcast to hear it.
Well, I said easy. I didn't say good.
Okay.
And yes, you're gonna give me a hard time because this goes with my clothing company that I'm starting, I guess. That I can't bring up too much because they do not sponsor the podcast. Rico Tessendor does.
Yep.
But it's a tie with his face on it. A Ty Cartier, if you will, which I know was brought up in some of the post-game lives, and I still thought it was a good idea. So yeah, you know what? I'd get him one of those.
Are we talking like a kind of a contemporary design or pattern on it around his face, or are we going with like oversized clown tie to really make sure that his face is very prominent on there and big?
No. You want it to be kind of subtle. Here's the thing: the face, it's like a repeated pattern. What do you call it?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, with a bunch of his faces, but they're small. You might even confuse them for polka dots, but if you get really close, you see that that's Ty Cartier.
Very good. Very classy. That's the classy way to do your own face on a tie that you are then wearing. That is the way to do it.
Yep.
I've
been looking for a tie that's like hockey sticks like that, where it's like a really subtle design where it's not just, the goofy hockey sticks on it, but I haven't been able to find something like that.
If only you had a clothing apparel company that could make one to fill this
There's
obvious market deficiency. For Ty Cartier, what I ended up going with is to have everybody stop picking on him. Because everybody always goes out there and then they want to pick on poor Ty Cartier, RJ. And so I want everybody to stop picking on him. So what that really turns into is I want to get Ty Cartier a boxing gym membership, RJ, so that he can properly deal with all those bullies out there in the NHL that constantly picking on him. Because right now, he does do a good job. He stands there, he takes it, all of that kind of stuff. But, he's maybe not the greatest dance partner out there. Maybe not the greatest with his hands all the time at the NHL level. So I want to get him a boxing gym membership. He can go out there, learn some stuff. Then he can start taking care of business and everybody will start leaving him alone.
Yeah, although I think if you were to get that for him, it might just, and he got really good at it, it might just encourage him to try and stir stuff up a little bit more.
Potentially.
Because, I mean,
that's Coach Dan's problem, though, not mine.
That's true, yes. Just like getting the child the irresponsible gift that's get the child the drum set.
Yep.
And then it's the parents' problem, not yours.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
All right.
Who we got next?
Next we have again another tie here, RJ. Well, not a tie as in Ty Cartier,
yes.
But we have another,
or a tie as in what you wear. What I'm getting, Ty
Cartier. Exactly. We have a three-way tie here between Ryan Winterton, Mitchell Stevens, and Daniel Sprong. I think we should go in order of games played, which would start us off actually with Mitchell Stevens. And I think that I'm excited about this. All I've got for Mitchell Stevens, RJ, the ability to keep his spot on the fourth line, centering that, because he has absolutely earned it, and just kind of take away the pressure. Let him be there. What?
That's perfect. He has. I can't believe this. So I'm looking at my list, and it's been a little while since I look back at it, because I agree with you. Right? he's earned that spot.
Yeah.
He's going to be around here. And so my thought, what to get him? Some winter clothes.
Oh,
because
no.
at this rate, he's going to be up here for a while. And because he was in Coachella Valley, maybe didn't plan on being with Seattle for this much time, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
I don't know that he'd be ready for that.
True.
You wouldn't need him down in CV.
True.
But
from Peterborough.
apparently this is very repetitive.
Yeah, no, you really had an agenda here, is what we'll say for sure with a lot of these guys. Ryan Winterton is going to be the next one up. RJ, we'll end things on Sprong. What did you get for Wins? Or is it more winter clothing?
No, it's not. With Winterton, I think it's the opposite of Stevens, right? He's kind of been shuttling up and down between Coachella Valley and Seattle. And I think given how things are going, he might need to do that some more. So I was going to get him Alaska Airlines lounge membership. So he can go in the lounge at the airport, and it's going to be all nice. You can get the snacks and everything. So as he has to keep flying back and forth, he can at least do it in some luxury.
I was in a lounge for the first time in Detroit. It's pretty nice in there. Like, not gonna lie, like it makes being at the airport a little bit more enjoyable. I kind of get it now, actually. For Ryan Winterton, I got an offensive chance or two a game for him so that he can kind of round out his game at the NHL level. Right now, he's been playing really good defense. He's great at getting the puck up the ice. He's good going in on the forecheck. I just want to put him in a position where he's not hanging out down here with only 1 point in his 7 games played. I want him to be able to show off the offense that we know he has, because we've seen it down in Coachella Valley. So I want other teams to maybe give him a little bit of time and space out there and let him go for it.
That's a very good on-ice gift. I think he could use that. Be good for his development, too.
Yep. And then, RJ, what are we collectively getting Daniel Sprong? Because you did this earlier where you added your name onto a gift. I could not think of anything with Daniel Sprong, and I didn't exactly try too hard because I know you're the Sprong guy. And so I figured I would just kind of piggyback off of whatever you've got for Daniel Sprong. So last gift we're giving to a Kraken player, RJ. What are we getting Daniel Sprong?
That's fair. After the Schwartz thing, that is totally fair. And you might actually believe that it's from you as well, too, that you were able to pick it out. And I'd probably ask for your advice on this for a specific product. But let's see. I found it on Amazon. Where is it? All right. Glowpet large doghouse heating pad, 34 by 21 inch waterproof pet heating pad for dogs. It goes on, but you get the idea of what the product is. Because if Daniel Sprong is just going to be in every NHL coach's doghouse, I at least want him to be comfortable.
Wow.
Keep the paws warm.
That is good. That is so good. Yes, I'm.
You can add your name to that.
I'm totally on
You're
board
the dog
with that.
guy,
Yep.
so he would believe it's from you also.
Yep. No, I'm totally on board with that. I think, yeah, feels like the personality that he would also like get the joke as well. So that is good.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I that is really good. Good job, RJ. I'm happy with that.
And one more
gift.
thing on Daniel Sprong too. I have a little story from practice this morning, just a fun anecdote, but the Kraken introduced a new trophy. I guess Steve Briere, the goalie coach, made this trophy that'll be the shootout champion trophy for practice. It has a little like toy gun on the top of it and everything. And so that was just brought out to center ice after the shootout competition. And Daniel Sprong was the only guy he just picked it up, lifted it over his head, like he was celebrating, and then put it back down. And nobody else really got near it or touched it. It seemed like everyone was kind of confused. We certainly were. And so I wanted to get to the bottom of what that trophy was, because we don't always see that. And so I went into the locker room and I asked him, so, Spronger, what was the deal with the trophy? And he said, oh, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
I see a trophy, I pick it up.
Exactly. So Daniel Sprong, we know he is a guy who will pick up a trophy, hold it over his head, no questions asked. And I love that about him.
Yeah, that is like the perfect Daniel Sprong story. I feel like it tells you everything you need to know about.
And then he
Daniel
made a
Sprong.
second comment that I did not catch, unfortunately, before as I was heading out of the room. He said something Berkey, something.
Okay.
So that, again, very Daniel Sprong.
Very Daniel Sprong there. Yeah. No, that's the perfect Daniel Sprong story. And I think the perfect way to end the podcast here, RJ. We have given away all of the gifts. We've covered all the members of the Kraken. Want to thank the law offices of Rico Tessendor for sponsoring the podcast, being the gift of a new sponsor to us this holiday season there. I want to remind everybody, Again, if you ever need anything like that, personal injury that covers a lot of stuff, you can go onto his website, ricotessantor.com, covers, animal attacks, all that kind of stuff. If you ever need anything like that, go check out his website, ricotessantor.com, or call 425-778-9800. You're supporting, an ECH community member's business when you do, and he'll definitely take care of you as a fellow Kraken and ECH listener. So definitely want to thank him one more time for coming on board and sponsoring the podcast here. And RJ, I think we'll have to see everybody next time.
That's right. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, I guess we should throw that in.
Hey everyone, before we go, we just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/Emerald City Hockey, especially our Terror of the Deep patrons.
Thank you so much for making all this possible. We really appreciate your support.